Do you think a samurai is the one who gives orders, or the one who bows? You're trying to become stronger every day, but what are you serving? Your ambition, your ego, or the fear of being left behind? Wrong. In old Japanese, samurai did not begin with a sword, it began with a verb. Saburau, to serve. To serve in silence. To serve without being seen. To serve until the self disappears. If your discipline exists only to prove you are better than others, then ask yourself, are you truly rising or quietly losing your way? Japan, late Heian period. Not an age of blazing battles or names carved into history. This was a quieter era, one in which power did not belong to the man who wielded the sword best, but to the one who understood exactly where he stood. The figure in this story has no title. No one calls him a hero. His name appears nowhere in the chronicles. He is simply a young samurai living within the grounds of a local clan, opening the gates before dawn, standing behind his lord during councils, and disappearing the moment everything is finished. His sword is always clean, not because it has never been drawn, but because it is rarely needed. Day after day, he stands in the right place. When summoned, he appears. When he is not needed, he steps back. No complaints, no demands, no questions of when will it be my turn. In the eyes of outsiders, he is weak. In the eyes of the ambitious, he lacks drive. In an era when everyone wants to be seen, recognized, promoted, he chooses to remain behind, and it is precisely there that something strange begins to form. Each morning, while the courtyard is still covered in dew, he steps onto the familiar stone stair. His pace is unhurried, not hesitant, simply the next step that needs to be placed. No one orders him to do this. No one watches. Yet he comes every day, pausing for a brief moment of stillness before the day begins. He does not train to become the one who stands at the front. He trains to become someone who can be trusted even when no one is watching. And in that quiet, a question begins to surface, not for the world, but for himself. If a samurai exists to serve, then whom is he truly serving? His lord, order itself, or a deeper path he has yet to name? Everything begins to change when the other samurai in the clan begin to change. They speak more, laugh louder. Their eyes are always fixed forward toward power, reward, and recognition waiting ahead. Training is no longer just about steady hands and a straight back, but about comparison. Who is faster? Who is stronger? Who gets called by name more often? He remains where he has always been, behind his lord, inside the silence. At first, it does not trouble him, but then small moments begin to accumulate. One morning he steps onto the familiar stone stair. The dew is still there, the courtyard still empty, but another set of footsteps sounds behind him. A younger samurai passes by, no greeting, no pause, only a brief glance before moving on, as if he were part of the architecture, not a man. Another time, during a council, his lord needs someone to deliver an important message. The gaze passes over him, then settles on someone else. That man steps forward quickly, bows deeply, and accepts the task. He remains still. No reaction, only a faint tightening of his hand. No one tells him he is wrong. No one reprimands him. No one reprimands him. No one removes him. And each evening, after everyone has left, he stays behind in the training yard. No one asks him to. No one watches. The sword is drawn, then returned to its sheath, again and again, not to display skill, not to prove anything, only to keep the movements from rusting. But questions begin to slip in between the steady breaths. If no one sees, if no one calls his name, if this service leads nowhere at all, then is he moving forward or standing still forever? Some mornings, he lingers longer on the stair than usual, not from fatigue, but because he cannot yet place the next step. The silence stretches. The morning passes more slowly. The conflict is not between him and others, it is between two paths. One path promises presence, to be seen, recognized, and to move forward. The other demands disappearance, service without name, without rank, without guarantee. He does not choose immediately, it simply stands still. And it is precisely in that stillness that the real crisis begins to take shape. The turning point does not come in the training yard, it comes on a morning that seems meaningless that day. The lord of the clan asks him to accompany him to a small temple off the main road. No ceremony, no entourage, just a short journey long enough for the sun to rise above the treetops. Before leaving the gate, he pauses, a very brief moment, the stone step cold beneath his feet. The morning so still he can hear cloth brushing softly against the wind. The temple is unremarkable, old, rarely visited. When his lord enters, he remains outside, standing exactly where he should. He does not look around. He does not question. He simply stands. That an elderly monk appears from the wooden corridor. No greeting, no question of names. His gaze settles on him, not on the sword, but on the way he stands. After a long while, the monk speaks slowly, as if speaking to himself. The one who serves best is the one who no longer thinks of himself as serving. There is no explanation, no sermon. The monk turns away, leaving an empty space in the courtyard. He does not bow immediately. He remains still on the way back. The words do not replay in his mind as sound, but as rhythm. His steps fall more evenly, his back straighter, not because he understands, but because something has quietly slipped into the right place that night. He does not train further. He simply sits in the courtyard. For a long time, no movement, no interpretation, and for the first time, he sees clearly what he has been avoiding. He is not afraid of serving. He is afraid of serving without being recognized on that moment. A decision forms not as a vow, not as a surge of emotion, just a quiet choice. If Saburau is the root of the samurai, then from now on, he will serve not to be seen, but to be reliable, even when no one is there. The next morning, he steps onto the familiar stair, not earlier, not later. He pauses for a single beat, then steps forward as if the final path has begun to reveal itself, without needing a name. The first morning after that, decision is no different from the mornings. Before, the sky is still dark. Mist still blankets the courtyard. The stone steps are still cold, but there is one very small difference. He wakes before the bell in the compound rings. Not because of discipline, not because of resolve. His body simply sits up on its own, as if something will not allow him to sleep any longer. He stands before the door, one hand resting on the wooden latch. He does not open it right away. A single pause, not to decide whether he should go, only to be sure that the next step does not come from reluctance. When he steps outside, the courtyard is still empty. No lamps, no voices. Morning here does not welcome anyone. It simply exists. He places his foot on the first step, then the second. Neither fast nor slow. Each step sounds faint, but in the open stillness it is clear enough that it cannot be taken back. He does not look ahead. He looks only at the ground, just in front of his toes. The sword is still at his side, but he does not draw it. Instead, he stands still. The silence lasts longer than he expects, not the kind of silence that waits for something to happen, but a silence that asks for no response. When he begins to train, there are no new movements, only the old, cut so familiar the body can complete them without thought. That is what makes it difficult. There is no sense of victory. No surge of excitement. Only repetition. One cut, a small adjustment to the foot, a steady breath. When he grows tired, he does not stop immediately. When strength remains, he does not speed up. He pauses before each change of stance, not long but long, enough to avoid being carried by momentum. The sun begins to touch the edge of the tiled roof when he returns, the sword to its scabbard. No one peers, no one takes notice. Yet when he steps down from the final stone step, something has changed, not in his muscles, but in the way he leaves the courtyard. His steps are steadier, the silence is no longer heavy, morning is no longer something to be endured. That is the first victory. No one sees it, and for the first time, that no longer matters. The mornings that follow carry no signs of progress. There is no feeling of getting better. No day stands out as worth remembering. He wakes at the same hour, steps into the courtyard while it is still dark, places his foot on the familiar stone step, pauses for a single beat, then begins. If someone were watching from a distance, they would see nothing remarkable. The same movements, the same rhythm of steps, mornings so similar they could be merged into one. It is there that monotony begins to wear things down. On some days, the sword feels heavier than usual, not from fatigue, but from the absence of a clear reason to hold it. On some mornings, he stands on the step longer, not from hesitation but because everything ahead feels too familiar. He does not tell himself that he is bored. There is no need to name it. It shows itself in small actions, shorter steps, cuts that no longer reach their full arc, the stillness before movement stretching just a little longer. One morning, before the sun has risen, he stops halfway through, not to rest but because, for the first time, another thought slips in. Does it have to be today? He does not answer. He returns the sword to its scabbard. He stands still. The silence is no longer comfortable. It feels like an empty space waiting to be filled by a small decision. He does not change the practice. He does not try to make it new. He does not reward himself. He simply keeps everything the same. The time, the order, even the mornings that offer no feeling at all day after day. Something strange begins to happen. Monotony is no longer something to overcome. It becomes a smooth surface where all excess movement is naturally worn away. No extra energy left for performance. No space left for proving anything. His steps land cleaner. His body turns just enough. The moment of stillness before each movement becomes clear, not as a pause, but as a point of support. He does not realize that he is stronger, but he realizes that he is less shaken. When another samurai asks why he does not join the louder, more animated group trainings, he simply bows. No explanation, not because he lacks an answer, but because the answer does not need to be spoken. That morning, when he steps down from the final stone step, his pace is no faster, but there is no longer any hesitation. Monotony has done its work. It does not create motivation. It removes the need for motivation, and he understands, without yet putting it into words, that the path of service is not forged by moments of excitement, but by showing up fully on days when there is nothing to look forward to. The storm arrives without warning, not with thunder, but with days of unbroken rain that turn the training yard into slick ground coat, heavy with the smell of damp decay. The other samurai move indoors. Dry wooden floors, bright lamps, no wind. He still goes out into the yard. Not out of stubbornness, only because morning still comes, whether conditions are favorable or not. Rain pounds against his shoulders. Water runs along the spine of the sword. The stone steps are slicker than usual. He stands before the first step longer than he normally would, not to gather courage, but to adjust his balance. His foot comes down. It slips slightly. He stops at once. No curse, no added force. He simply remains still for one more beat in the rain. Every movement becomes slower, not because he is weaker, but because every small error is magnified. The sword no longer allows excess strength. The body cannot lean even slightly. If he rushes, he falls. If he strains, he slips. He begins to understand something the calm mornings never taught him. Moving forward is not always the solution. At times, he stands in the middle of the yard, rain pouring straight onto his face, the sword held in place, not lowered, not raised. The silence here is no longer empty. It becomes a boundary. Beyond it lies loss of control. On another day, the wind is stronger. Rain lashes sideways. Visibility shortens. He does not look far ahead. He looks at the step directly in front of him, one step at a time. There is no clear moment of victory, only the act of not being swept away. When his body begins to shake from the cold, he does not increase his pace to warm himself. When his hands begin to stiffen, he does not end the session. He adjusts his posture very slightly, but enough to remain steady. The storm does not make him stronger in any obvious way. It clarifies what cannot be relied upon. Not good feelings, not favorable conditions, not the presence of witnesses. As the rain finally eases, the training yard is emptier than usual. He returns the sword to its scabbard. Water drips onto the stone steps. His steps as he leaves are slow, but no longer hesitant. In the midst of the storm, he does not learn how to fight better. He learns how not to be pulled away, and that, on the path of is a deeper form of service, holding one's position, even when everything around is losing control. After the storm, everything becomes easier. The sky clears, the yard dries, the air feels light. That is when the real test appears. One afternoon, a samurai from the clan approaches him, not to challenge him, not to compete, just a simple offer. Join a new training group where those who are noticed train together, are named together, and are chosen for important assignments. There is no threat, no pressure, just another path, shorter, brighter, more crowded. He does not answer right away, not because he is confused, but because he needs to stand still. The next morning he goes out to the yard as usual. The familiar steps, the familiar footing, the familiar silence, but something is no longer the same. Every movement is now placed beneath a wordless question. Is this path still worth continuing? And everything around has become easier. He does not reassure himself. He does not repeat old resolutions. He simply keeps the rhythm. When his hand lifts the sword, he stops at the exact moment before the transition. He stands still. He does not allow momentum to decide for him. Unyielding spirit does not appear when facing an enemy. It appears when facing a comfortable choice. He realizes this when another samurai passes the yard on the way to the group training. Laughter carries through the air. The atmosphere is different. He remains still for one more beat, then continues. Not because he looks down on the other path, but because this one has never promised anything beyond being right. In the days that follow, the offer is not repeated. No one asks again. No one applies pressure. And that silence becomes the final test of this chapter. No resistance, no declarations, just continuing to appear on time, in the right place, in the right way. His unyielding spirit does not lie in refusal. It lies in not needing to refuse. One morning, as the sun touches the edge of the yard, he returns the sword to its scabbard. He steps down the stone steps. The steps are not lighter, not heavier, just steady. He understands this. Service is not sacrifice meant to be endured, but a choice repeated even when no one is watching. No one noticed the moment he changed, because there was no such moment, no marked day, no event that forced others to look back. Just a morning exactly like the mornings before it. He steps into the yard while the light is still dim. The familiar stone steps. His foot lands without checking. Silence is no longer something to endure, but the environment in which he exists. Discipline is no longer something he holds on to. It is the way he stands, the way he waits, the way he appears when called and disappears when he is not needed. The sword is drawn and returned cleanly. No excess force, no unnecessary movement. Other samurai begin to notice. Not because he stands out, but because something around him feels stable. When a task requires someone who will not disturb the balance, eyes turn toward him. When a negotiation needs someone standing behind without tightening the air, he is chosen. No one explains why, but everyone knows. Place him there, and things stay in their proper order. One morning, a young samurai stands beside the training yard watching. He does not ask. He does not interrupt. He does not turn around. He does not perform. He simply stands still before the steps at the familiar moment, then moves on. His steps are not faster, but there is no hesitation left in them. The glow of discipline does not shine outward. It does not dazzle. It reassures. It is a kind of light that does not come from ahead, but spreads low and close to the ground from the way a person keeps order within himself, day after day. When he leaves the training yard, the morning is fully awake. Voices begin to rise. Life continues. He blends into it, not higher, not lower. And if anyone were to ask what makes a true samurai, the answer would not lie in the sword, but in the ability to serve the rhythm of a new day, without needing to be reminded. The final test did not take the shape of an enemy. It took the shape of responsibility. That one morning, before the yard had time to fill, he was summoned. No ceremony, no preface. The Lord looked directly at him, as if he had been watching for a long time, not in moments of display, but in the empty spaces a task was given. No glory, no reward, only the duty of maintaining order during a tense meeting between clans. If everything remained calm, no one would remember the man standing behind. If a fracture occurred, his would be the first name blamed. He bowed. He asked nothing more. Before leaving, he paused for a very brief moment, not to prepare, but to place himself exactly where he belonged. The meeting unfolded in dense silence. Eyes met, breaths were held, hands rested closer to sword hilts than necessary. He stood behind, at the proper distance. He did not move. He did not apply pressure. His presence did not dominate, but it did not allow the space to be overtaken by chaos. There was a moment, very brief, when a voice rose. A hand shifted an inch closer. No one gave an order. He remained still. He did not step forward. He did not draw his sword. He did nothing beyond holding the rhythm. That moment unadorned steadiness slowed everything down. Breathing settled. Eyes moved away from sword hilts. The next words were spoken more quietly. The meeting ended. No incident. No credit given. When he left, no one called his name. And this time, that was exactly as it should be. The final test did not measure strength. It tested whether he could serve without letting the ego intrude. And he passed not through a grand action, but by refusing to do anything unnecessary. There was no declaration after that test. No reward was given. The next morning arrived like every other morning. He woke before the sky had fully lightened, stepped into the yard. The stone steps were still cold. Silence still surrounded everything. But the way he stood was different. No longer restraint. No longer an effort to be correct. Just being there completely. The other samurai began to adjust around him, very subtly. No one spoke of it, but distances were kept more precisely. Voices lowered when he was present, not out of fear, but because his rhythm did not allow haste to last. He did not become a leader. He did not stand above anyone. Yet when a task needed to be done correctly the first time, eyes turned to him, not to ask for instruction, but to place trust. One morning, a young samurai stood near the steps. He did not ask how to train. He simply stood beside him, imitating the way he paused before stepping forward. He did not turn back. He did not correct. He did not teach. Not out of stinginess with knowledge, but because some things are transmitted only through presence. The original problem disappeared not because it was solved, but because it no longer existed. He no longer wondered whether he was advancing or standing still. The path of Saburau is not measured by position, but by the reliability of one's presence. When he left the yard, the morning was full of light. Voices rose. Life continued. He stepped into it as an inseparable part of the order, not remarkable, not replaceable, and that was the complete transformation. From someone searching for meaning and service, to becoming the meaning itself. This story is not about samurai. It is about you on the mornings no one sees. The word samurai comes from Saburau, to serve, not to serve for recognition, but to serve so that order does not collapse when you are present. You can train to become visible, or you can train to become reliable. At the beginning, those two paths look the same, but only one of them remains when motivation disappears, when no one applauds, when no reward is promised. Ask yourself, no need to answer right away. What are you disciplining yourself to serve? An image of who you want to be, or a responsibility large enough that the ego becomes unnecessary? If every morning you still show up, place your foot exactly where it belongs, pause for one breath before deciding, then you are already walking that ancient path. No noise, no title, but steady enough that when you are present, everything around you stays in its proper place. And that is the samurai spirit in its purest form.